Forward button on so I can get this. There we go. All right. So, lesson 22 of A Course in Miracles. Again, this is where we start. Well, yesterday's lesson was the one that was probably the first that was pretty direct about how it wanted us to do the lesson, right? And that's the beginning of now kind of building a discipline around that over the next number of months, quite frankly, because there are 365 lessons and we're on number 22. So just as a review, though, what we looked at last week and the week before, I'm not going to go through 13, 14, and 15. That was 2 weeks ago, but that was talking about the meaning we give to things and how it's our ego usurping that of whatever our belief might be, of could be God, it could be a higher being, whatever that is, and that it's not true. It's actually false. And then we ended the week 2 weeks ago with this homework of my thoughts are images that I have made. And the whole idea is everything that we create comes typically from our past. So it's no wonder we get stuck there. Right? And so this course is really about freeing us from that so that we've got opportunity ahead of us, and that's really what the miracles can look like. So then last week we started the week with this: I have no neutral thoughts. And there's that whole idea that there is no such thing as your brain resting or a resting mind, because even when you sleep, your subconscious mind is still at work. It's still working right now. It's still working on things like having you breathe, pumping blood through your body, using your heart. It also is working on other things. And so there is no such thing as a neutral thought that's always working on something. We also talked about that if there are no neutral thoughts, there are no neutral things in this world. And then we said that you're not alone in experiencing the effects of your seeing. So this whole idea that there's no neutral thoughts, there are no neutral things, everything I see is either a positive charge or a negative charge, and I'm having this experience with others. So it's just not me. And then we ended last week on these two, and that was I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts, and I'm determined to see. And that was where we began. We ended the week last week was I am determined to see. And we began yesterday with this one. I'm determined to see things how? Differently. It was differently. And Jason, you gave us a great example of that. For my bold grads with us, one of the exercises we work on a lot in there is about trading up to better thoughts. Right? And it was that purple bracelet and that whole bold mental diet. It was that idea that just choose something slightly better. And I think that was a play off of this lesson in the Course of Miracles, that I'm determined to see things differently, because it was to have you consciously choose a better thought than the one that first appeared for you. And that's really what this exercise was beginning to condition us towards. So just a couple things on that lesson itself. If I'm determined to see things differently, we talked about it this way, is that perception revolves around our beliefs. And so I wanted to hit on that again because I think it's such a powerful statement, and it's really important to remember always, is that our perception really does revolve around our beliefs. And so everybody has a different belief system, and so is it possible that everybody's perceptions could be different? Absolutely. And so that's the idea behind this, is recognizing that as a fact. And then along with that, we said that your beliefs are misaligned with the truth. Therefore, you will not be able to achieve real vision. So if your perception revolves around your beliefs and your beliefs are misaligned with the truth, and it went on to say in the lesson that truth is capitalized, the truth, like the all-knowing, that true, pure truth. Therefore, you're not able to achieve real vision. So what we're going to work on over the next couple of weeks is getting us in alignment in our belief system so that we would be able to have real vision. We would be in alignment with the truth. And that's really where this is going. So our lesson for today is interesting because the choice of words is really powerful, I think. And that is, the lesson says this: what I see is a form of vengeance. What I see is a form of vengeance. So I'm going to read the lesson, and then I'm going to break it down for you. So I'm going to do this kind of the flip of what I did yesterday, because I'm still kind of experimenting with how this might work best. So the lesson says this: today's idea that what I see is a form of vengeance accurately describes the way anyone who holds attack thoughts in his or her mind must see the world. Having projected his or her anger on the world, you see vengeance about to strike him. His own attack is thus perceived as self-defense. So let me say this again. I was trying to keep it as gender neutral as I can. I'm just going to go he, but it's he or she. Because that messed us up. Today's idea that what I see is a form of vengeance accurately describes the way anyone who holds attack thoughts in his mind must see the world. Having projected anger onto the world, he sees vengeance about to strike him. His own attack is thus perceived as self-defense. Now, the cycle of holding thoughts of attack and counterattack and projecting them upon the world that he sees becomes an increasingly vicious circle until he is willing to change how he sees his world. Otherwise, thoughts of attack and counterattack will preoccupy him and people his entire world. And what peace of mind is possible, because remember we talked about this, that's all what this is leading to, is peace of mind and joy. So the question is, what peace of mind is possible to him when this cycle of holding thoughts of attack and counterattack preoccupy his mind? It goes on to say it's from this savage fantasy, which is this vicious cycle of holding thoughts of attack and counterattack, that you want to escape. This vicious cycle of projecting your angry thoughts upon the world that you see, is why you perceive a vengeful world. It is not joyous news to hear that the world you see as a form of vengeance is not real. It's not something to be joyful about. It is not a happy discovery to find out that you escaped your vengeful world that you perceived and that you see. By this cycle of holding thoughts of attack and counterattack, you made what you would destroy. By this cycle of holding attack and counterattack thoughts, you made everything that you hate and would attack and kill. You made those things. All that you fear does not exist because it was from your own egoic mind that you projected your attack thoughts upon the world you perceived you saw. So it's all by your own doing. Look at the world about you at least 5 times today. So this is our lesson for the day, is to look 5 times throughout the day, at least a minute each time. And you're probably going to want to have a pen and paper handy, because there's a couple questions that we're going to have you ask yourself. So at least 5 times a day for about a minute each time, as with your eyes open, look about the world around you in that moment. As your eyes move slowly from one object to the other, from one body to another, say to yourself, I see only the perishable. I see nothing that will last. What I see is not real. What I see is a form of vengeance. And then at the end of that practice period, these are the 4 questions you ask, statements you make as you gaze about and your eyes settle on whatever that is. You say, I see only the perishable. I see nothing that will last. What I see is not real. What I see is a form of vengeance. At the end of that, then, ask yourself this question, and that is this the world I really want to see? So if I had left you on those 4 questions, I think most probably wouldn't have showed up tomorrow. The resolve is this the world I really want to see? And just let's do this lesson and see what happens. See what happens for you as you walk through this lesson. Now let me break down the lesson a little bit more. What I see is a form of vengeance. It says, Lesson 22, what I see is a form of vengeance. This is a logical consequence of 2 previously discussed factors. The first is how perception works, and the second is based on your ego's limiting beliefs about yourself and your world. Now, the law of perception basically states that you will see what you believe. You will see what you believe. This is what psychological and sociological research shows us. Our physical senses are not objective, but rather thought confirmation devices. That's what our physical senses do, is they confirm what we've thought. Your senses are designed to confirm what your mind expects your outside world should be. You project your own beliefs outside your mind, and your senses then confirm these predetermined beliefs to be true. They gather the evidence. Believe you will be attacked, and your physical sense will find some experience to confirm that pre-existing belief. So if I believe that I need a parking spot close to the door of the grocery store, I will see other drivers entering the same parking lot as a competition for my needed spot. I may attempt to race through the lot so that I can arrive at my pre-designated parking spot before another driver arrives. Now, in that simple example, my ego would prejudge the other driver as competition. The driver's actions would be seen as an attack against my needs, that close parking spot. My ego would claim any anger or resentment that I might feel from this encounter, and it would be justified then. Now, my actions of racing through the parking lot to claim my spot would be viewed as justified as well as, or as self-defense, because it was an attack, right? That was a competition. Now, but by the way, not as an attack of the other party. It was viewed as it was the right thing to do. To my ego, the best defense is a good offense. That's a great statement. To our ego, the best defense is a good offense. My ego calls my actions a preemptive strike, while the other party sees themselves as an innocent victim and me as an aggressive foe. So at a more subtle level, if my survival plan requires that Jim give me his paycheck at the end of the week, Jim's failure to do so will be perceived as an attack on my very survival. In order to ensure Jim's future compliance with my ego's plan, I may agree to make Jim dinner and wash his clothes, rather than my actions of cooking and cleaning for Jim performed out of love, right? So that's my payback, is that I would do that, not because there's love, it's because it's what I'm doing to get what I want. That's ego, by the way. So these actions are part of my ego's self-defense plan to manipulate outside forces to provide limited resources that I perceived I need for my survival. If I do not receive my expected payback, which is Jim's paycheck, and at the end of each week, my ego will believe that I've been attacked. My ego may also view myself as a failure for not procuring its needs, meaning that check. So it's interesting. We're going to dive deeper into ego over the next few days. I'm grateful that this fell in the middle of a week so that we get to work on this only over the next 24 hours, actually 23 hours, and be back together. So any questions on today's lesson at all? Thoughts, comments? All right, guys, so tomorrow, just as a reminder, we'll be at 8:30. And we will be done by 9 so that you can jump on over to the Dick Dillingham program if you choose, and we will see you then. So have a great day. Practice this one. This is one we may choose to avoid. It's really powerful. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Darren.
Thanks, everybody.